Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to paint a beautiful fall pumpkin sign. This sign I actually picked up from the Dollar Tree. This is what it looked like before, and it was just said wood shape. Can you see that? And it's just this really thin little wood cutout. They've got several different cutouts at the Dollar Tree. There's a fall leaf, there's a turkey, and I believe an acorn maybe. But these are really good, fun, quick and easy projects that you can use for the fall. Now we are going to have to take off this the little hanger here because I don't want to get paint all over that. But I have gone ahead and painted the base coat just so it can be drying a little bit. You can tell it has started to dry. I don't want it all the way dry though, because when I start mixing in my colors, I want them to really blend well. And that works best if you do it while the paint is still a little bit damp. So when you start off, you want to start off with at least 3 colors. You want to do a light, a medium, and a dark color. And don't worry about them being like perfectly matchy-matchy. If you can see here, you know, I've got a little bit of a darker teal color. This is sort of like a robin's egg blue. And then I'm going to use my white. I think I'm going to paint my stem white just to be a little bit different. So once you get your base coat painted, then you want to pick up, I'm going to actually put a little bit of my base coat on here so I can show you a little technique that I like to do here. So we want to think about where we want our little segments to form. And you can see here I've started this little segment. I don't like it to be straight in the middle. So when you do this, you want to just sort of come up and go down like that. And that's going to give you that little segment, just so it's kind of off center. I don't like to do matchy-matchy stuff. Y'all ought to know that by now. So we want to move it to the side just a little bit and then just paint the rest of it. But to get our shadows, I'm going to pick up some paint, some of my base paint on one end. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of this darker color on the other end of my brush. Okay, and when I paint it, I'm going to paint it just like this, so that that base color really blends in with the darker. And we're going to just kind of go around the edge a little bit. I like those colors to be almost like a watercolor effect. And when you use this technique, you know your colors are going to blend in super good. I'm actually painting these for my neighbors because I love my neighbors. I have the best neighbors in the whole world. And this is just going to be a little fall happy for them, just to let them know how much I appreciate them. And I don't have a lot of money invested in it because it all came from my favorite place, the Dollar Tree. Don't be afraid if those colors just kind of mix in. You want that look. And if you get too much on your brush, just kind of pat it off on your paper towel. The supplies that you're going to need for this project are just your sign and a couple of paint brushes and your 3 colors of paint. You can paint your fall pumpkins any color. This season I painted, this is my first turquoise one, but I've painted an orange one, I've painted a white one, and those both turned out beautiful. So don't be afraid to use something, you know, a different color other than, you know, your traditional fall colors. Okay, so now I've got the outline kind of going here. Now we'll start with the middle segments. And pick up the paint in the same way. And just tap your brush off. Just make sure that your dark color is always on the edge. I want to bring this down just a little bit more. I'm not going to go all the way down. I just want to go down enough so that you kind of notice the segment. And we'll do the same thing for the bottom. And the thing about it is, if you start this and you're like, I'm really not digging these colors, you know what? It's just paint. Just paint over it. Okay, so this is looking really good. I think I do want to maybe add a couple of more of my darker lines here, just to give it some extra little segments. So I'll grab a little bit of my darker color on one side and a little bit of my lighter color on the other side. I just want to do a few segments. I'm not gonna really fuss about it being exact or anything. I don't really care about that. When you think about painting, you want to think about shadows and highlights and that kind of thing. So, you know, keep that in mind as you go. Your shadows are going to be your darker color. Your highlights are going to be your lighter color. And if you get too much, you can see here, I'm not really loving how this is looking so perfect. So I'm going to go back in and just take my base color and just kind of feather that in. I don't want it to be, you know, too perfect. Just kind of feather that edge in a little bit. And then maybe go back with a little bit darker just on the very edge, just so it kind of highlights it a little bit more. You want to be sure to add that dimension. So on the very bottom, we'll just pick up our base color and just kind of feather in some highlights there. Now I only had one coat of my base color on, so I'm okay if I just add a little bit more here on the edges, just so it covers really good. I can still see a little bit of my wood here. Just be sure you keep your colors feathered. You kind of want to give it that, you know, that watercolored look. So if you have to go back in and blend them really, really well. I don't like to see a harsh line. It's more about shadows. And don't try to make both sides the same. That's not really our goal here. We kind of want it to be, you know, more organic. You don't have to worry about it being so matchy-matchy because, you know, this is nature. Nature's not matchy-matchy. It's not organic. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not perfect. So just think about that when you're painting. Think about, you know, nature and how everything is different and beautiful in its own way. Happy trees, like Bob Ross says, right? Well, this is going to be happy pumpkins. So now that we've kind of got our shadows in, see how easy that was? I want to go in with a little bit of highlight color, and I'm going to be using the same paintbrush to do everything. So I may put a little bit of a highlight here. And then if it's too much of a highlight, you want to take your base coat and kind of blend it in. You don't want the highlights to, you know, this is not a blinding highlight. This is just sort of a nice subtle highlight here. And then feather it in. And once this dries, you'll be able to kind of see a little bit better the different colors. And there's honestly no right or wrong way to do it. You know, if you don't like it, you just paint it again. Or just keep adding colors to it. Okay, I think I want to add a little bit more of my darker teal. And I just want to kind of dry brush that on. So you want to put some on your paintbrush and then dab most of it off. Dab it off. So I think I'm really liking this. I might want to pick up a little bit darker. Maybe add a little bit darker down here at the bottom. And feather that in. And then go back with my base coat. Just feather. This side's a little bit dark for me, so I'm gonna lighten it up just a little. And you know, I may sit here and paint this one thing for, you know, 10 minutes before I get it exactly like I want it. But I just don't like to see a harsh line. But if you like a harsh line, then you know, it's your creation. You go right ahead. So I think I'm happy with this. I like it. It's got nice blending. I think I like it. Okay, now I am gonna switch to a smaller paintbrush to do the stem. I'm just gonna do it white. It would look pretty as like a light tan, but I love white and turquoise together. It's a little bit different. And one thing you want to be sure to do is to get your edges. And I'm going to go back over this edge. Should have painted my stem first, but I didn't. So we'll get a nice coat of white, but you want to make sure that you finish your edges of your piece. Now after this dries, I have a little sign that I also picked up from the Dollar Tree, and it comes 3 to a pack, and they're super cute. I think one of them says thankful, one of them says harvest, and one of them says welcome. So I haven't decided which one I'm going to use for that yet, but there it is. Now, let me see. I may add a little bit of brown highlight to this. Let's just see. I'll maybe add a little bit of this brown, and I'll mix it in with my white so it's not such a stark brown. And let's see what this looks like. Maybe highlight the edges a little bit. Let's see. Now this is the reason I like to work on a paper towel, so you can kind of wipe as you go. You don't have a lot to clean up. You'll just take your paper towel and chunk it in the garbage. So it's easy breezy cleanup. I don't know if I'm loving this look or not. Maybe I do. It's just paint. We can't mess it up. Yeah, if you do, guess what? No worries. You just add more paint. Okay, I'm kind of liking this little swirl action here. Let's pick up a little bit more white and kind of go with that. I kind of like that swirl. Okay. So let's pick up a little bit of the teal and go back over this little area slightly. Okay. You see how easy that was and how beautiful? Doesn't that look nice? Okay. So for the edge, I'll finish the edge off with my dark color. Whatever your darkest color is, just finish it off with that. Now, if you wanted to actually give it a little bit more dimension, you could go in and highlight a little bit with maybe a dark brown. But I'm kind of digging the softness of just the turquoise. So go all the way around the edges. You can see they're not very thick, so it won't take you very long to do it. But yeah, that's it. So let this dry really good, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we will attach our little metal sign. So let's give it just a second to dry and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've given it a little bit of time to dry. I actually took my blow dryer and helped it along here. And you can see this is what it's gonna look like. I decided to use the word thankful because I'm so thankful for my sweet neighbors. And I could leave it just like this, and I'm probably going to leave it just like this, to be honest, but I wanted to show you the other options that were out there. So Dollar Tree also has these cool little fall leaves, and they're made out of burlap, and they're already on wire, and they're super cool because you can manipulate them to be any shape. You can turn them up, you can turn them down, and that would be super cute to just glue a couple of those leaves, you know, just like this. Trim your wire off and just kind of put a couple of those just like this. But I worked really hard on the details on here, and I don't really want to cover those up. So I think I'm going to leave those off. I was just wanting to show you options. Now Dollar Tree also has this beautiful burlap ribbon, and it's got the lace in the center. I've used this on several wreaths before, and it really makes a bow pop. So you could tie a little simple bow, and you could put it on the side here. You could put it in the center here. You know, there's several options that you can do to embellish your pumpkin, but sometimes less is more. So I think I'm just gonna leave it alone. Okay, so now to glue our little metal piece on, I'm gonna use E6000. And the way you wanna do it, now it only takes a little bit. If you put too much, your E6000 is gonna ooze all over the place. So I like to just take a little cotton swab and put some on the end, and your E6000 is going to be oozing out in a minute, so you don't have to keep squeezing it. It'll squeeze out on its own. You just want to kind of rub some in places. I like to put it on the thicker parts of your words. And don't think you have to coat the whole thing. You just want to make it stay. Now after this E6000 dries, it doesn't even have to be fully dry, just enough so you can pick it up. I'm gonna take it outside and I'm gonna give it a little coat of sealer, and I just like to use a spray sealer, so whatever you choose is fine. Now, you wanna be super careful when you're placing it down, so just kind of eyeball it. I want it to be in the center, and I want it to be straight. You will have a little bit of play time if you don't totally squish it down, but that looks pretty good to me. And we'll just press it down. And that's it. See how simple that was? And it looks like a super expensive door hanger. You could put this in the middle of a wreath. You can hang this on the door just like it is. You could actually wire a couple of these together if you wanted to make a longer door hanger. There's just so many possibilities. Okay, so now we've got our little hanger back on, and there we are. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Okay, so I'm going to put links on my blog when I do my blog posts, so be sure to look for those. You can tell you exactly where you can find everything. Everything came from the Dollar Tree, but if your Dollar Tree doesn't happen to have these particular items, you can always order online through the links that you find on my blog. And I know sometimes they tell you have to buy like 24 of something. That's okay. You can buy it and then turn around and return it to the store. They'll give you credit back at your store. I've had to do that before when I couldn't find things that I really, really wanted, because a lot of people snatch the good stuff up fast. So as soon as this dries, I'll be sure to give it a quick coat of that sealer, and I'll be ready to deliver it to my neighbor. So I hope that you have found this super helpful and easy to follow. And if you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I would certainly appreciate it. And be sure to follow my blog, Mama Dares to DIY. I have lots of tips and tricks and fun projects that you can do, and many of them are Dollar Tree inspired. So be sure to check back often and subscribe to the blog. Until next time, happy DIYing, y'all.